Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's top stories. California voters recount their experiences on Super Tuesday. Some call it tense and interesting to watch. Nikki Haley drops out of the presidential race, clearing the path for a Biden-Trump rematch in November. Voters in a coastal beach town approved an LGBTQ flag ban. The rainbow pride flag and other non-governmental banners will no longer fly on city property in Huntington Beach, California. As President Joe Biden and Trump dominated their Super Tuesday races across the country, gearing up for a likely November rematch. In California, voters describe Super Tuesday elections as tense and interesting to watch. NTD's Eileen Ang leads us off tonight on some important down-ballot races in the most populous state.
While much of the focus is on the presidential race, there were also important down-ballot contests. California voters narrowed down on two candidates to fill the Senate seat long held by Dianne Feinstein. Democratic Representative Adam Schiff and Republican Steve Garvey, a former professional baseball player, will face off in the general election. California has two open seats for the U.S. Senate this year, one for a 6-year full term and another for a 6-month term, and Garvey has been a candidate for both. Some voters in San Mateo County reported that they had trouble finding Garvey's name on their electronic ballots.
I scrolled up and down. I could not find his name on the ballot. So knowing that there were two Senate races, I flipped to the next page to see the second Senate race, and again, I did not see his name on the ballot. So I went and I asked one of the people there for assistance, and she came over and we looked up and down, and I couldn't find it. Then after going back and forth a few times, his name suddenly appeared. It's like, oh, there it is. Well, I know it wasn't there before, so it just kind of popped up out of nowhere.
A representative from the San Mateo County voting office informed the Epoch Times that the difficulty was caused by the long list of candidates running for the U.S. Senate seats this year in California's primary election. Voters had to spend extra time searching for the names of the preferred candidates. The Epoch Times was able to verify that there were two other Garvey supporters who went to a voting station in Redwood City in San Mateo County and had no problems voting for Garvey. In San Francisco, voters weighed in on public safety measures on Tuesday's ballot that reflect frustration over crime and drug use in the politically liberal city.
The ones that would be really important to me are infrastructure in terms of transportation, especially municipal transportation. I care about that a lot. And then public education. So taxpayer-funded education, especially at like the university and college level. So that would be something that I care about. And continued investment into like the Affordable Care Act and public health care for all.
In Los Angeles County, District Attorney George Gascon will face former U.S. Attorney Nathan Hawkman in the general election. Additionally, Supervisor Janice Hahn will keep her seat from opponent former Sheriff Alex Villanueva. On a state level, voters were split on Governor Gavin Newsom's Proposition 1 on mental health care to tackle the homeless crisis, with 50.7% of voters approving it as of 1 a.m. on Wednesday. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump won their party's nominations, despite many voters preferring something other than a November rematch from 4 years ago.
I don't think it's a slam dunk for any party, but that's why it makes it kind of tense and makes it kind of nervous. So I'm tense. I'm tense, if I'm being honest.
Democratic leaders in liberal cities across the U.S. have had mixed results as they struggle to balance progressive criminal justice reforms with fed-up voters.
Now let's take a look at other top headlines. First, we have more reactions from Super Tuesday on why some voters back their candidates and what their key concerns are. Denver graphic artist Aaron Bauer says life was much better under Trump.
You know, Orange Man bad, but you know, so what? I was making money. I was living. I was able to freaking make it. I'm struggling now.
Bauer considers himself a centrist.
I want my friends to be able to guard their pot fields with machine guns while they're hanging out with their gay buddies.
This Minneapolis mom also says Trump is the best man for the job.
I think he can do it again. He's a good man. He's a fighter. And he'll help save this country.
But mom and daughter don't think alike this time around.
And I voted for Nikki Haley to cancel out Donald Trump because I think he's by far the worst candidate. So we have a divided household.
Another Haley supporter from Texas is deeply frustrated by the probable Biden and Trump rematch.
It's disgraceful. We don't need two octogenarians in office, running for office.
This pair in North Carolina say they are both supporting Biden.
Yes, he is elderly,
He is older.
but you know what? I think he's done some amazing things for the country.
Did a whole lot for the
For
country
this
when he was
retired
president.
teacher, abortion is a key issue.
I want to vote for Trump because I think he's conservative. He was pro-life, and I think he did a whole lot for the country when he was president.
If there is one thing most voters would agree on,
Why is voting important for you?
Because I love my country.
That's a great answer. I'll steal the same one. It matters.
following her losses on Super Tuesday, Nikki Haley announces that she's dropping out of the race. Here's her speech from Charleston, South Carolina earlier this morning.
I am filled with the gratitude for the outpouring of support we've received from all across our great country. But the time has now come to suspend my campaign. I said I wanted Americans to have their voices heard. I have done that. I have no regrets.
Haley's exit means former President Trump is now the presumptive Republican nominee. This also makes 2024 one of the fastest narrowing primary fields in recent history. In her speech, Haley didn't endorse Trump. She congratulated him on becoming the presumptive nominee and wished him well. The former candidate also sent out a message of unity. She said, "Our country is too precious to let our differences divide us." Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell announced that today he will support Donald Trump for the presidency, a move that comes more than 3 years after they have last spoken, and after the Kentucky Republican pointedly blamed Trump for the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. McConnell says Trump has the necessary support of Republican voters and will have his backing as the nominee. McConnell says he looks forward to shifting focus from defending against Biden's policies to actively improving American lives. Senator Lindsey Graham praises McConnell's decision to endorse Donald Trump and says it's good for the GOP party. McConnell previously declined to state his support for the former president, but said he would back the party's eventual nominee. McConnell announced last week he would step down as GOP leader at the end of the year. His endorsement today came after his other top Republican senators, including Senator John Thune and John Cornyn, have endorsed Trump. Also, South Carolina Representative Ralph Norman, the only House member to endorse Nikki Haley for president, said he's now endorsing Trump after Haley suspended her campaign.
Look, it's time to unite. I'll be supporting President Trump 100%. We've got a country to save. She put her plan forward. She beat, 13 others? She did a good job. But the people chose Donald Trump. That's a good thing that it played out like this.
With former President Donald Trump set to clinch the party's presidential nomination, his several pending legal cases become the focus of public attention. The Supreme Court says today it will hear arguments on April 25th in a blockbuster case over whether Trump may claim immunity from prosecution in the federal election case. The High Court previously said it would hear arguments in the case during the week of April 22nd. Today, the court announced that it would hear the case during a rare Thursday session. The timing of the case has drawn considerable scrutiny as it could help determine whether Trump faces trial over his efforts to overturn the 2020 election before the November 2024 election. Special counsel Jack Smith, who brought the criminal charges, has sought to speed up the proceedings over Trump's immunity claim so that he can bring the matter to trial as quickly as possible. An original trial date that had been set for early March has already been postponed. Huntington Beach residents voted on different measures in the March 5th primary election, including the rules for which flags are allowed to be flown on city flag poles. NTD's Christina Crona tells us more.
Voters in Huntington Beach voted Tuesday whether to ban flying the pride flag and other non-governmental banners on city property. Measure B proposes it would limit the city to only fly the United States flag, the city flag, the prisoner of war flag, Olympic flags, and flags for government bodies like the state, city, and military. 58% of residents voted yes on the measure, while 41% voted no. It would not only prohibit the display of the pride flag, but breast cancer awareness and religious flags. A unanimous vote by the City Council will now be required to fly a commemorative flag from city facilities. Surf City residents also voted on a proposed voter ID law. Measure A aims to amend Huntington Beach's city charter to require voters to show identification in municipal elections starting in 2026. It also permits city oversight of ballot drop boxes and the addition of 20 new voting sites across the city. 54% of residents voted yes and 45% voted no on the measure. The City Council's new Republican majority introduced these measures to the ballot. It's the first time Huntington Beach residents have had a chance to vote on the council's proposals citywide. Christina Corona, NTD News, California.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. A Texas fire chief died while fighting a house fire in his small town. The 40-year-old fire chief had been battling the historic wildfires sweeping across the Panhandle over the past week. A confiscated tiger cub is now receiving special care at the Oakland Zoo. The 8-month-old female cub was rescued from a privately owned facility. And for sports, the Cleveland Cavaliers cooled off the scorching Boston Celtics in a stunning fashion last night. The team snapped Celtics' 11-game winning streak after being down by 22 points in the fourth quarter. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. The chief of a fire department in a small town of Texas that has been devastated by the wildfires has died battling a house fire. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the story.
Chief Zeb Smith, 40, of the Fritch Fire Department was the first on scene of a structure fire of a residence at 803 South Brunel Street in Fritch on Tuesday.
Chief Smith arrived on scene. He entered the residence, the structure, to identify if there was anyone inside needing to be rescued.
However, Chief Zeb Smith did not exit the residence.
He was found at 7:30 a.m. by a rapid intervention team who immediately began medical treatment. He was rushed to Bowling Heights Community Hospital, where sadly he succumbed to his injuries.
The cause of death has not been clarified.
This structure fire was not directly related to the ongoing wildfires. It did not start as a cause of those wildfires.
Chief Smith, along with other volunteer firefighters in the county, have responded for the last 9 days, actively fighting these fires.
Him and his team were out every day, most nights, got very little sleep, and just selflessly went out and did everything they could to save their community and keep us intact for the last almost 10 days. So I think we all can say with pretty good certainty that it did have a role in today's unfortunate incident.
Firefighters are still trying to extinguish wildfires that have been burning across rural areas around Amarillo, which officials say have destroyed as many as 500 structures. A memorial service to celebrate Smith's life is set to be announced at a later date. Christina Corona, NTD News.
A younger tiger was transported to a California zoo after she was found malnourished. She will undergo multiple examinations and possibly surgery.
An 8-month-old female tiger arrived at the Oakland Zoo Veterinary Hospital on February 20th. She was confiscated by the Department of Fish and Wildlife due to her nutritional status. According to the Oakland Zoo, the tiger was found to be suffering from multiple fractures in her skeleton. Oakland Zoo's veterinary hospital staff performed a thorough physical exam, CT scan, and blood work. They gave the tiger nutrients and necessary pain medication.
So for this little tiger gal, if things go well, probably in about a month, we'll be able to see if her skeleton is recalcifying correctly. We have a lot of lab work pending.
The zoo's veterinary hospital team is working to build her calcium and develop a physical therapy plan to rehabilitate her atrophied muscles. Once her bones have built enough calcium, the zoo's veterinarians will work with surgeons to determine the next steps in her healing journey.
Once that's gone well and she can move comfortably, she's doing okay, her quality of life is good, then she'll receive a forever home in an accredited sanctuary or zoo where she can continue receiving the standard of nutritional enrichment, behavioral, and veterinary care that she'll need.
Herman said the zoo will keep the tiger comfortable, feed her great food, and do everything they can to help the tiger have a bright future.
There is now a whale desk that would alert ships of marine mammals in the ocean. Its goal is to have a better communication system to keep whales safe and avoid casualties.
The U.S. Coast Guard has launched a pilot program to alert ships of whale sightings in Washington state's Salish Sea. The goal of the new whale desk is to keep the marine mammals safe from boat strikes and reduce noise in the busy inland sea waters. The program, which began official operations in December, comes at a time when visits by humpback whales and sea mammal hunting orcas increase as their populations rebound.
Just like the humpback we had here, the more that come back, the more interaction we're going to have with boats.
People who spot whales can download one of two apps that will feed into the Coast Guard's Puget Sound Vessel Traffic Service. Mariners can use radio frequencies and a phone tip line when they spot whales. Participation in the program is voluntary for ships. The alerts will not go out to private or recreational boats.
By increasing situational awareness of the location and movement of the whales, we aim to collectively reduce negative human-whale interactions for mariners transiting the Puget Sound.
The Salish Sea is a maze of islands and canals that make up the inland waters between Washington State and British Columbia, including Puget Sound. Two groups of orcas, as well as baleen whales, cruise in these waters. But these waters are now also home to major American and Canadian ports. According to the Coast Guard, nearly 300,000 vessels crossed the area in 2023, from commercial container ships to cruise ships to ferries. That doesn't include private crafts. U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell sponsored the Salish Sea's 4-year pilot program in the 2022 Coast Guard Authorization Act.
I was proud to author legislation to establish a program that uses locator technology and allows the Coast Guard, if you will, to act almost like air traffic controllers, trying to have large vessel traffic get out of the ways of our orca population.
The whale desk is modeled to match the Canadian Coast Guard's Marine Mammal Desk. Both American and Canadian desks are built on the backbone of the Whale Report Alert System. It incorporates sightings from the individual apps and other sources, such as private tracking information used by whale-watching boats.
Shifting gears to some hardwood drama, the Cleveland Cavaliers pull off an unforgettable comeback against the Boston Celtics. Dean Wade's heroics are stealing the headlines. NTD's Carlos Reyes has more on the story.
Last night, the Cleveland Cavaliers staged an epic rally against the Boston Celtics, erasing a 22-point deficit in the fourth quarter to snatch a heart-stopping 105-104 victory. Dean Wade emerged as the hero of the night, turning the court into his own personal playground. Wade's exceptional performance saw him sinking 5 clutch three-pointers and notching an impressive 20 points in the final quarter, single-handedly outscoring the entire Celtics team. His confidence was soaring, and Wade's post-game revelation was nothing short of poetic. He described the rim as looking like a swimming pool. With the Kelsey brothers in attendance and hyping up Cleveland fans, the Cavs defied the odds, overcoming the absence of All-Star Donovan Mitchell and the loss of forward Evan Mobley to injury. Jared Allen, the Cavs center, summed up the team's mindset. Honestly, when the Kelsey brothers started hyping up the crowd, we knew we could do it. Wade, who finished with a career-high 23 points, showcased his versatility with a barrage of threes and a game-winning putback dunk with just 19.1 seconds left on the clock. The Cavs' resilience was on full display as they sealed the victory despite missing key players. The Celtics, led by All-Star Jason Tatum's 26 points, had a chance to steal the win in the dying seconds. However, a controversial foul call was overturned after a replay review, with officials determining that it was Tatum's leg causing contact, not Darius Garland's defense. The win adds another thrilling chapter to Cleveland's recent home court heroics following last week's buzzer-beater victory against Dallas. Wade, a Kansas native and devoted Chiefs fan, even received a playful offer from Travis Kelce to join the NFL if basketball didn't work out. Cavs coach J.B. Bickerstaff praised Wade's multifaceted skills, emphasizing his defensive contributions along with his offensive prowess. The Cavs now look to Wade for consistency, especially with the team not operating at full strength. In the midst of the celebration, the Cavaliers honored the Kelce brothers with a bobblehead depicting the Cleveland-born NFL stars. Jason Kelce, who retired from the Philadelphia Eagles after 13 seasons on Monday, was presented with a number 62 jersey. Carlos Reyes, NTD News.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. And in more China news, tensions from a clash in the South China Sea continues to grow. The U.S. issuing a statement supporting the Philippines. This after a collision between Chinese Coast Guard ships and Filipino boats. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.